Tonight, the NWU says it's pleased with a negotiated $2.2 million in payouts for St. James Morgan Bay staff. Minibus operators are assured that the fuel rebate is on the way after the NCOPT met with the Transport Minister on Thursday. And the Catholic Church questions, why not legalize cannabis? The details are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Thursday, the 6th of August, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We're on Flow, Channel 117, KISS FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. The management of St. James Club Morgan Bay and the National Workers Union have agreed on a severance package payment for over 400 workers formerly employed with the hotel. Legally, the workers were formally severed on the 31st of July 2020. About $2,230,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars will be paid out to the employees over an extended period, as the workers will be paid in groups, each of which will receive the total amounts due. The union and the company agreed that as soon as the hotel reopens, all employees based on occupancy levels will be given an opportunity to apply for a position within the operations. The union says it is pleased with the arrangements, bearing in mind that the employees are in serious economic strife. In other news, United and Strong is speaking out about continued harassment and even physical attacks on members of the LGBTQI community. This after receiving a report that a glass bottle was hurled at a young man who was reportedly walking in a very animated and flamboyant manner along Coral Street. Hot 7 TV was also able to speak to the woman who assisted the individual after he received a blow to the head.
Members of the LGBTQI community are outraged after a report of a physical assault against a young man. He was allegedly hit on the head with a bottle while he was walking along Coral Street Castries in a manner which some interpreted as being feminine. The woman who came to his rescue and summoned help from others and the fire service spoke to Hot 7. The woman, who identified herself only as Miss Cynthia, says she is shocked that in 2020, people are still being targeted based on perceived or actual sexual preferences.
What happened there Saturday, it wasn't good. In this day and age, people are not supposed to knock people because they choose their life to live. If you want to be a buller, that's his prerogative. If you want to be a buller, that doesn't give anybody cause to burst up his face like that. I wasn't feeling pleased about that. And what make it bad is at the back of my home, the boys came and take the bottle to burst his head. And then I had to call the ambulance. I called the ambulance twice to come and pick him up, but the ambulance didn't reach at the time, so the police take him to the hospital. And I find people is out of place because everybody choose their lifestyle of what they want to do. A lot of people is rude because you're not supporting that or you're not doing that they get annoyed and want to knock you or want to victimize you because you're not supporting what they supporting, and that's wrong. And I'm very annoyed of the fellas that burst up Mamiku's face and his head and all parts of his body. It wasn't good.
Following the incident, Board Secretary for United and Strong, Jessica St. Rose, spoke to the fact that people within the LGBTQI community at this juncture are still advocating to be treated as equals. She says there continues to be lots of hatred leveled at people within the community.
United and Strong have been advocating for equality and the rights of LGBT persons for over 10 years. And we continue to see an uprise of discrimination cases within the community and in St. Lucia.
St. Rose says there is need for a legislation that will ensure that individuals who discriminate or level violence towards members of the LGBTQI community are held accountable.
We call on the government to enact an equality bill that would protect the equal rights of all persons, especially LGBT persons in St. Lucia. And while we know that the equality bill may not necessarily decrease all forms of discrimination, but however, enacting the Equality Bill will enable persons to be held accountable for their actions towards LGBT persons. And we're calling on the government and the policymakers to think about that and to enact this bill before Parliament, before it continues to increase. And with the number of cases we have, we've been seeing an uprise of discrimination cases. We've been seeing cases of violence attacks, cyberbullying, and hate speeches towards LGBT persons. And we want to call on the powers that be to look into this and to enact an equality bill. And of course, by enacting this equality bill, we are going to be able to hold persons accountable for their actions towards LGBT persons.
Advocacy groups continue to lobby for equal rights under the law and for laws that criminalize their sexual choices to be struck down. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
SLP endorsed candidate Emma Hippolyte was in the hot seat on Wednesday night. She fielded the burning questions from host Crystal Riviere about her much talked about bid to unseat incumbent Soufrière MP Herod Stanislaus. The former Gros-Islet MP and Commerce Minister has received much criticism about making way for someone younger, but she is hitting back at the critics, stating that by the example of the current government, it is clear that governance is not for toddlers. The appearance of Emma Hippolyte on Hot 7 TV's The Hot Seat certainly raised the temperature across the airwaves and on social media. Ever since she indicated her interest in contesting the Soufrière seat, Emma Hippolyte has been met with a chorus of complaints about her age. But she is not fazed by the noise of her detractors. She says her age comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience on how to get Soufrière on the right track.
There was a lot of talk on social media, there was a lot of talk all over the place about your age, about how dynamic you are as a person, about what you could bring to the table, about the fact that you are old-fashioned and you have old ideas. What would you say to these criticisms?
Well, just look at it. You said a year ago that was a criticism, and I heard it. I watched them on social media, and as usual, Auntie Emma said nothing. In 2 weeks, I was able to bring a live virtual telephone. Where were they? I'm not sure they contributed, but where were they? As I said, I'm an action person. I'm not the one to quarrel and talk and speak loud and so on.
Hippolyte declared that while she is older than the incumbent Soufrière MP Herod Stanislaus, she is young in thinking and has the skills to get things done.
Capable, hardworking, resilient, courageous, unafraid. That's the lady. That's what I present, and that's what I present to Soufrière. And I will transform it when Soufrière gives me an opportunity to transform it. The youth is your thinking. The youth is your thinking, not your age. You should know that, Crystal. The youth is your thinking, your mind, not your age. All right? It is true that I have a lot more age than he has, I believe. But coming in that package is the wisdom, the knowledge, the skills to get things done. And that is what is needed, not only in Soufrière, in government.
With a slew of constituency development projects under his belt, many political pundits posit the view that it will be a Herculean task for Stanislaus to be unseated. Others say this is why Hippolyte is, in fact, the best woman for the job, given her experience as a former NIC director, member of parliament, and commerce minister. A gruesome video has been making the rounds on social media showing the scene of a collision in Bexon between a motorcyclist and another vehicle on Wednesday afternoon. The video shows the male motorcyclist, who was not wearing a helmet or protective riding gear, lying on the ground with serious injuries to both his legs. A woman is heard giving directives to stretch his legs, one of which was twisted in a precarious position, and a man is seen repositioning the leg. Firefighter Stacey Joseph says the distress call was received at about 4:30 p.m.
On Wednesday, August 5th, At approximately 4:30 p.m., the Castries Fire Station received the call informing of a motor vehicular collision involving a motorcycle at Bextor Castries. The responding emergency personnel found a male individual lying on the ground. A rapid assessment of the patient revealed that he sustained several severe open wound fractures on his legs. He was immediately transferred to the ambulance where his wounds were treated. The patient was transported in a stable condition to the OKEU hospital and was left in the care of medical personnel.
That was Fire Service spokesperson Stacey Joseph. Following strong opposition by the Pentecostal Church to the decriminalization and legalization of cannabis, Hot 7 TV News reached out to the Catholic Church for clarification of its position on the issue. Monsignor Michel Francis says if extensive research has gone towards decriminalizing the herb and the pros outweigh the cons, then the Catholic Church is on board with the decision. Genevieve Gonzaga has more.
St. Lucia remains a predominantly Catholic society, and many look to the church for guidance on issues. The matter of decriminalization and legalization of cannabis is one of the most topical issues to date. The Pentecostal Church has made it abundantly clear that they are against decriminalization and legalization of the herb and have even penned a letter to the Prime Minister urging him to rethink the decision to pursue a regulatory framework for cannabis. The Catholic Church, like the Anglican Church, is taking a more measured approach. Monsignor Michel Francis says if there is regulation as well as proper use of the substance, he sees no reason why it cannot be decriminalized.
Well, the Archbishop spoke about it. Archbishop Rivas spoke about it recently, and he expressed his own concerns about the impact of cannabis on the mind, on the individual. And he said if the science can show that, you know, it's not as dangerous as we think it is, then he said he's okay with it. You know, so I will go with what he said.
There has been criticism that while churches are being vocal on cannabis, they have not shown such zeal on other matters affecting society. Monsignor Francis says this is not so, as churches have a vested interest in all social issues and not just the legalization of cannabis.
The fact that government is in the process of, you know, looking at decriminalizing it, it's a new subject. And so the media themselves have gone to the various churches to find out what it is that their viewpoint is. But on the question of domestic abuse, on the question of child trafficking, on the question of suicide, these are things that, you know, we have almost exhausted in talking about.
Monsignor Francis maintains that the Catholic Church will not stand in opposition to the plans of the government to establish a regulatory framework for the cannabis industry. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the NCOPT assures minibus operators that the fuel rebate is coming after a meeting with the Transport Minister. The National Youth Council rubbishes claims of political interference and political agendas. That and more after the break.